Now, the Benghazi report. We now have the definitive Benghazi report from the Joint Committee, I guess it is, of the Congress. And this is, of course, a cover-up. This is a tissue of lies. I'm sorry, it's the Senate Intelligence Committee releasing this report on Wednesday. Now, remember, the basic facts of Benghazi, and it's amazing how hard it is to get a few simple ideas across, especially when you're dealing with this hysterical demonization of Obama. This was an October surprise in favor of Romney. It was designed to put Romney into the White House. God help us. We'd be at war with Syria, and we'd probably be at war with Iran by now, and we would be in a terrible situation vis-a-vis Russia if Romney had become president. Obama is not the worst game in town. There are other forces that are much worse. In particular, Romney, surrounded by those neocons that we identified, the Kagans and so forth, the various Dan Seniors running Ryan, and the rest of them, right? Robert Joseph, all of these characters. Let's just remind ourselves of Benghazi, right? Ambassador Stevens, unfortunately, was functioning as a terrorist controller. His goal was to transship death squad jihadis and weapons from Libya to Turkey and then into Syria. That is why he was talking with a Turkish official shortly before he was attacked. And naturally, if you associate with these kinds of violent terrorists, the possibility of blowback is always there. He seemed to be aware of that. But that's why Benghazi is in the middle of the Benghazi-Derna-Tobruk terrorist corridor, with the largest representation per capita of any part of the world among the terrorists fighting the United States in Iraq, as I wrote up in the spring of 2011, right, 3 years ago. Go take a look at that on tarpley.net. So he was there for that purpose. It's very interesting. According to these reports, the Pentagon was not told by the CIA that the annex, the CIA annex, the other center of U.S. forces in Benghazi, they were not told at the Pentagon that existed. So remember, you've got an essentially indefensible walled compound, which was the consulate, and then you've got this other thing, which was the one that Congressman Chaffetz wanted to keep secret in those hearings. Remember how he freaked out when that existence of that consulate annex, so to speak, the CIA annex was revealed. So, how did it happen? Well, the obvious failure of a rescue mission. Right? Let's not worry ourselves about this documentary film. Documentary film was real enough, right? The documentary film was drawn up by people who were associated with the Islamophobia network, in which the dominant personality is our dear friend John Bolton of the State Department under the Bush administration, right? U.S. ambassador to the UN for Bush, full of contempt for the United Nations and full of venom towards all foreign countries, right? The antithesis of a diplomat. He was part of that Islamophobia network, and he stood to gain. So he had conflict of interest. If Romney had come in, he would be in the State Department again now. That film caused riots in 20 countries, including all over Europe. It included a riot in Egypt. So there was a film, and it did have some effect. Now, clearly, what happened in Benghazi was an action by terrorist groups, but which ones? We're talking about the February 17th Martyrs Brigade, and we're talking about Ansar al-Sharia. These are, the dividing line between them is somewhat blurred. But you'll remember, the thing about it is that the State Department was looking to the February 17th Martyrs Brigade to provide some security for the compound, and instead they ran away and or joined in the attack. February 17th, Martyrs Brigade. Remember, in the summer of 2011, when we had the rivalry between General Yunus, coming from the Libyan armed forces directly, and General Hifter, who had been living near the CIA for all those years, there was a rivalry between the two. The CIA obviously wanted their guy Hifter to run the Libyan army. Yunus was assassinated by the February 17th Martyrs Brigade. Okay, so that shows that this was a conduit for assassinations on the part of the CIA. The other side of it is Kumu, Q-U-M-U, Q-U-M-U, K-U-M-U, Sufyan Kumu, the head of this Ansar Brigade. He seems to have dispatched the people who actually did the killing. So you can see this is an inside-outside operation, indicating that the CIA wanted this to happen. So what was it? The Mormon Mafia, the pro-Romney group inside the CIA. We know that such a thing exists. There are references to it in the public record. The question of the failure of the rescue mission is basically two-sided. To the extent that we're talking about CIA forces, we're talking about forces under the command of General David Petraeus, the subversive, the guy who represents the authoritarian tendencies. That night, he went to see the movie Argo. What was he trying to tell us? But he did not order a rescue mission, therefore grilled Petraeus. And the other one, of course, General Carter Ham of U.S. AFRICOM, controlling the base at Sigonella, Sicily, 1 to 2 hours away for a high-performance jet. What about Ham? We want grilled Ham and grilled Petraeus. And anything short of that is simply a fraud and a cover-up, which is what we have from the distinguished Senate Intelligence Committee. My publisher thanks you for your interest in La France Conquise, this interesting book on the First World War, and we'll be back with more about that stuff next week on World Crisis Radio.